Morning, my brothers and sisters. Welcome to episode number 143 in the book of John. Today we're going to watch a person who fails to prevail in the truth. Hint, it's Pilate. So we're in a little drama, and it's a life and death sequence of event. Now, it's complex, it's deliberative, and apparently Pilate actually considers this issue relatively carefully. So if you just look at the physical efforts that I'm going to describe here that may help us understand his mental and judicial and spiritual work that he's doing. So Pilate is going to do three little series. Goes outside, then he goes inside, then he goes outside, then he goes inside, then he goes outside, he goes inside, and then at the last time he goes outside to condemn Jesus. So we're actually in the first little cycle of that, and we see what the interview is happening inside after he's addressed the outside Jewish leaders for the first time. So we're going to pick up the story during this first inside interview. Jesus says to Pilate, this is from John chapter 18 and verse number 36. But my kingdom is not from this world. This is Jesus saying this. That's actually the second time he said that. Verse 37, then Pilate said to him, so you are a king? Jesus answered, you say I am a king. For this purpose I was born, and for this purpose I have come into the world, to bear witness to the truth. Everyone who is of the truth listens to my voice. And that's actually Pilate's wrestling. Pilate said to him, what is truth? After he had said this, he went back outside to the Jews and told them, I find no guilt in him. But you have a custom that I should release one man for you at the Passover. So, do you want me to release to you the King of the Jews? That's his term for Jesus. They cried out again, not this man, but Barabbas. Now Barabbas was a robber. All right, that's the end of our official passage. But then I just want to mention in Acts chapter 3, it tells us that Barabbas was more than just a robber. He was also a murderer. So, he's kind of the worst of the worst. So let's just talk about Barabbas for a second and how it relates to our anti-hero Pilate here. So asking for Barabbas is a terrible insult. So they're asking for the worst of us, humans, to insult the best one we've ever had. It shows ultimate disrespect for the person and the office of Jesus. It's kind of like one of our last rebellions that we ever commit against the Lord is to ask for this murderer and robber, Barabbas. So Barabbas has to receive undeserved mercy. Why? So that you and I could receive undeserved mercy. You can write that down. So he's another reminder of the great injustice that's being perpetrated on Jesus. So they chose the one who breaks the 10 Commandments instead of the one who wrote the 10 Commandments. So in this Barabbas-Jesus exchange, we put a murderer back into the world while we take the Holy One and righteous one out of the world. But don't fear, he's coming back. First he comes back in the resurrection 3 days later, but then he's going to return in glory and power to make all things right in the end times. So the Jews ask for Barabbas, but who lets him go? Well, it's Pilate. So I don't think Pilate is scot-free in this. In doing so, Pilate, begins to fail to prevail in the truth. Pilate begins to fail to prevail in the truth. So let's talk about Pilate for a second. He reminds me of Jacob. Now, there's a story in Genesis chapter 32 where Jacob wrestles all night long. It's not a story, it's a true thing, it happened, where he wrestles with God all night long. And at the end, God says, your name shall no longer be called Jacob, but Israel, for you have striven with God and with men and have prevailed. And he kind of gets it right. Then Jacob asks him, please tell me your name. But he said, why is it that you ask my name? And there he blessed them. So Jacob called the place of Peniel, saying, for I have seen God face to face, yet my life has been delivered. So the sun rose upon him as he passed Peniel, limping because of his hip. So similarly, I think Pilate is wrestling with God here. but the ending is not a happy one. So Pilate is making deliberative, careful assessments, but they're wrong, and he's going to fail to prevail in the truth. He has every chance. He has actually multiple chances, as we're going to see. He has multiple interviews with Jesus personally, as well as everything he might have heard about him previously. And don't forget, just being with Jesus and watching Jesus, how he responds to injustice, which Pilate was not unfamiliar with, caused some people, not Pilate, to believe in him. So in Matthew chapter 27, verse 54, at the end of the crucifixion, the people that had been with him for hours, when the centurion and those who were with him, keeping watch over Jesus, saw the earthquake and what took place, they were filled with awe and said, "Truly, this was the Son of God." So, I think not because of the earthquake, but I think it was because they kept watch over Jesus for hours and hours. So this crucifixion crew, after keeping watch over Jesus during those horrible hours, they conclude this is the Son of God. Pilate has the same chance. So I notice that Pilate struggles with the truth literally when he is talking to the truth, capital T, Jesus. I am the way, the truth, and life, John 14:6. So Pilate insists by his question, there are many truths, there are many ways to God. Jesus makes this exclusivity claim in Acts chapter 4. There's no salvation in anyone else. There's no other name under heaven given among men by which we must be saved. And I think this is what Pilate is struggling with. So let's see if Pilate is going to prevail in truth towards the one who is the truth, or if he's going to fail to prevail in the truth. Now, perhaps you also will be wrestling today. My prayer for you is that you would not fail to prevail in the truth. Thanks for listening.